BizMindz. This is our second episode, and we're here with Michelle. Thank you, Michelle, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess the first question I'd like to ask you is, how long have you been living in Naples, and how many businesses or business do you own?
Very good questions. I was born here in Naples, Florida, so I have been here since 1985. My birthday was yesterday, so 37 years.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Don't tell anyone. People say I look 25, so we're good.
Age is just a number.
Exactly. And I've started several business concepts. I've always been like a creative mind, and I like to believe in living a life doing what you love for work. So it's kind of transpired and evolved over the years, and now I'm focusing on four main different businesses.
Yeah.
My main business is TriTone Barre. It's a dance fitness franchise concept. I'm also the founder of Aquitecture Interior Design, and we just started a new subdivision of the company called Flower Girl Wallscapes by Design, and we're specializing in green walls and flower walls and really cool wall features, tiles, media walls, things that when you walk into like a commercial space, everybody wants to take a photo in front of, post it on Instagram, because that's what's hot right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Like perfect for restaurant, for anywhere really, right?
Basically anywhere. So we have a lot of green walls in our dance studio, and everybody walks in and the first thing they do is like, I have to take a picture of this, or take a picture in front of it, and that really helps your company's marketing as well, because it works for you.
Right, exactly. And you said, so you were born here.
I was.
So you've seen Naples change a ton.
It has,
right?
That's for sure.
Both in just how many people live here, and then also like business as well, right?
Yes.
Businesses are just opening up, a lot of building as well.
A lot of building and construction. That's why I always grew up thinking I would be in interior design.
Okay.
But I thought it would always be residential, and then through college and then through my creative mindset, I've really grown an interest in designing businesses, because that's really where the commerce and the growth really helps our city.
Mm-hmm. And now, did you so you went to school for design, right? And what school did you go to?
Florida State University.
Florida State, okay.
So I left Naples for 4 years,
Yeah.
and then I came back.
Yeah, and Florida State, completely different.
It is very
right?
different.
College town.
There's 4 seasons.
Yeah. And have you, okay, so after studying interior design, what was your first job?
Well, I decided I was tired of interior design after college, and I wanted to dance. So I started traveling and auditioning for different dance things, and I was auditioning for the Orlando Magic, and then I got a call for an interior design job here in Naples, and that made my decision, and I moved back and bought a house, and I've been here ever since.
Okay, wow. And then how long did it take to transition from that job into business, into your own?
Well, I kind of like dabbled in different concepts. I always like to make things, and I was stuck in desk jobs, always trying to get experience and get enough qualifications to be able to take the licensing exam, and that was like my main focus. But then my body started to change as I got older, and I was sitting and I needed to move. I did a lot of bartending in between to help gain funds, and there was a recession during that time in 2008. So I learned a lot about hustling and kind of selling yourself, which I think really motivated me as a business owner. If I didn't have that experience, I may not have ever known what it really takes to really get out there and talk to people.
Right.
So I kind of got bored at the desk job, and I needed to move, and I took this class that was kind of dance based, but not really. And then one day I just had this aha moment, and I was like, you know what? I can own this adult business. When I found out that they were franchise companies, then I realized I could like kind of create my own workout, but make it a business plan.
Okay.
And then I could be the lead designer as well. So I build out the studios, I do all the graphic design, the branding, and the full package. So franchising kind of like went hand in hand with the interior design brain, because I'm used to creating massive construction packages for people to read and follow. So with the franchise, it was basically creating a brand, also a construction package, but a training package, and then doing our workouts. So it kind of all fell into place.
Right. And so TriTone, tell us a little bit more about like the services, how long that's been in business for, and just where you guys are today, right now with TriTone.
So TriTone started 5.5 years ago. So I don't know how long out of college that was, but many different paths through interior design. When I had my awakening for that right after I had my son, I decided that I wanted to go full force with this business. So I incorporated on his first birthday, and it was an uphill growth from day one to our third year. And I just had this idea and this mission and this fire inside of my soul. And I said, I'm going to create a franchise company. People said I was crazy. You can't do that by yourself. So I was like, watch me. And within a week, people were coming into the studio asking if we were already a franchise company, where I had purchased this, where I had learned all of this. And I was just like, this was my vision, you know, from my life growing up as a dancer and a gymnast. And I just kind of put it all together. So I just worked every day for 3.5 years. And then we opened our second studio and finally sold our first franchise, and the pandemic happened. So it was like a complete halt.
Right.
And that really changed everything.
Right.
Yeah. For anyone that's trying to start a business, what do you think are the, let's say, the 2 or 3 more important things?
One is having a passion for it and actually loving what you do, because you have to love it every single day. And that's something that I've learned, especially now going through the trauma of shutting down 3 studios and going to 0 income. When you're down and when you're sad, you still have to love your business.
That's when passion kicks in, right?
Yeah. And you have to scale and control your growth, because we were growing. And the bigger I got, the more behind the scenes I was, and the more it took the passion away for what I loved. And I wasn't teaching as much.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Was like
this is
on the computer.
True.
I'm designing the studios, which I love designing the studios, but here I am back stuck at my desk.
Right.
You know, and then I'm tired. I'm a mom, so I'm running around. And at that time, I was up all night with him. So it was really a lot, you know. And then the pandemic really taught me something different about that, because it's not always about growth, and growth can be in different ways, and you don't need to necessarily get bigger, but you also have to be very smart about your growth and not overextend. And this is something that none of us had planned for. So I was really excited about investing into my company until that happened, because then I started investing into staying open rather than growth.
Right.
Because I was all about opening new studios, buying new floors, buying mirrors and all of these things, but once you have to take all of your money and put it into your overhead when you don't have any income coming in, it kind of like
and your role as a business owner changes with growth, right?
It completely
and I think that that's something that gets overlooked, I think, because yes, we all want to grow, right? Especially when we're in business, it's like we always have big visions, which is great, but I think something that gets overlooked is that, okay, as soon as I hire 1 more person, 2 more, 3 more, my role starts to change. Like you mentioned, you start to do less what you love or what you're super passionate about.
More management, more oversight. And even if you have a really good manager, you're still running the whole entire thing.
Right.
You're still managing the manager.
You are. And even like, I'm at a point now where I'm able to step away and the studio can basically run itself, and that's the whole point of the franchise system, is to create a flawless working system that can work without you. And yes, I do have a studio running in another state great by itself, but the less you're involved, the less it's you, and the people really love you. So you have to be able to differentiate that as well. So that's the second point, is, you know, is your business all about you, or can you it just it wanted to dance with us, you know. It was excited about all the dance moves.
That was the live
do you want to just stand it somewhere?
It was cute. It was like
or you could just
we can just stand it
or pause it, because that's the live one.
It's still live.
Yeah.
Sorry to everybody on Naples photo blog. The foam fell. Sorry about that.
They just wanted to take a twirl across the dance floor. It's all good.
Can you imagine? You just see like
That one, the
Put the water bottle.
these are the things that happen when you do this life.
Hey, it's okay. You live and you learn. See, this is like business, you know?
Yeah.
This is exactly my
The
point.
hurdles.
And everything that you plan and you have these
Close it just in
strategic,
case it
flawless
spills.
plans, and then all of a sudden the world throws something at you that is totally different than your plan.
Yeah,
Right.
And you have to quickly fix the problem, right?
So,
Without anybody
exactly.
noticing what happened.
I would say the third most important thing is the ability to be adaptable, because you can plan all you want, and I had really well thought out strategic plans for everything, and everything changed. And you can't stay stagnant, and you can't stay focused like I'm gonna do it this way and that's it, because once the world changes, you have to adapt to that. Like this, like tomorrow, all of a sudden we had to go online.
Right.
People couldn't perform in our studio, and if I was
Is that what
Switch
happened?
to digital.
So you started doing virtual classes.
which was also a very good learning experience, because I thought that was something that I always really wanted to do. So it kind of forced us to jump into it. But for me, it was challenging because it was a whole nother business,
Right.
a whole nother set of overhead expenses,
Right.
a whole nother conglomerate of things that you had to do to produce and make it happen.
Right.
But meanwhile, I was in the middle of planning my grand opening, finishing the build out. I was running my interior design company, and we were installing a 7,000 square foot spec home.
Wow.
And I was building
Wow.
out my New Jersey studio and planning for that opening. So it was like,
A lot.
boom, change everything. Just shut your computer. Well, not really shut your computer. Open your computer and use it for something different.
Right.
And then it was like, file for this and file for that and apply for forgiveness and loans and all, like it just,
Yeah.
boom, everything changes,
Yeah. So would you say biggest hurdle so far in your business has been the COVID?
100%.
Yeah.
Did Irma affect you, or am I saying Irma? Ian?
Ian, it did, but we were very, very lucky that this was the first thing that really didn't traumatize the studio. And I looked at my manager and I said, you've really been through it when you've been closed for a week and a half, and you just kind of say, okay.
Yeah.
How important would you say, for example, digital marketing is for your business right now?
Very.
Social media.
And through the pandemic, it's become even more important. And I would say COVID changed a lot for that as well, because our Facebook and everything was really popular and blowing up. And then once that, you guys know it was all about politics, and everything completely changed on how to even get your algorithms and your access. And now Instagram has completely changed to more video marketing and video tools. So it's always an evolving process,
it's always changing.
I'd say.
It's always changing for sure.
And I don't really know any other way of advertising. That's one of our biggest hurdles right now, is how do we do our marketing? Because we used to go to shows, and we used to go to these female events that they would have around town, set up a booth, meet people.
No, we're not doing it so much.
I haven't been invited to one in a long time, and we used to do them at least 2-3 times a month. So really, digital is our only form of advertising and word of mouth.
Right.
Which is probably the best way right now to reach people, right? You can just reach so many people with just one click, and you'll be out there.
You can, but that's also a challenge as well, and that's where I say Facebook and Instagram are different, because Instagram, you're reaching people all over that may have nothing to do with your business. So they're seeing it, but how do we reach people that are physically living in our city that are going to step foot inside of our studio?
Right. Now, so being a business that's woman owned, what would you say? What advice would you give to women that want to leap into business?
I love this question.
You do?
I do. So
not that I want to, women men thing, but generally businesses the general business owners, right? Or the majority business owners.
I would say yes, women are treated differently, especially when it comes to sales, and it depends on the marketplace that you're in. But can I tell a quick little story?
Oh, absolutely.
Of course.
Before I opened my studio, I was giving an interior design presentation to a room full of men. And I had just had my son. He was 2 months old. We had not been apart yet. And I brought him to the meeting, and they all knew that I was pregnant and having this baby, like, throughout the whole entire process. And he was excellent. He sat in the stroller the whole time and it's like watching me and paying attention.
Aww.
You know? And he looked at me and smiled, and I said, "Hi, honey." And all of the men gave me this, like, really annoyed look. And a few days later, I get fired from the project.
No.
And the reason was because I brought my child to the meeting.
Wow.
And right then and there, I was like, I am never going to work in a space where my son is not welcome to come. You know, so I created my own thing, and he comes to the studio. Everybody loves him. He grew up in my studio, and I feel like it has a major impact on your children. And us as women, like, we do have children and we have lives, we run households, we do all kinds of things, and women can multitask, and women can run businesses, and women can be present for their children, and you can do everything. And that's another thing when you're thinking about starting a business is your time frame. So you have to create something that's flexible, and which is hard having a brick and mortar. But the way I have my studio set up, I teach in the morning after I drop him off at school, and then I'm available in the afternoons to pick him up and be around for him. And I have a nice flexible schedule, so you know, it's not like I have to be there from this time to this time and work all the time and be completely away from your children. So as women, I think you really can do whatever you want, and don't let men tell you that you can't. Sorry.
No.
It is so important.
Yeah, that's true.
I agree, because I think that generally, like in business, men that are doing business, there's always somebody trying to get like the higher, like, you know, it's kind of like a fight almost. It feels like when you're doing business, whether it's cordial or whatever, it still feels that way. So I think that some men that they'll see, oh, they're already used to going up against men, and then if they see, oh, going up against women, I could maybe they don't know what we know, or like something along those lines, right? But that's why I wanted to get your opinion.
Discriminated against as a woman so many times. Not so much in my dance fitness studio, because it's basically a woman-based business. I'd say 98% of our guests are women, so it's a very comfortable environment. My son is the star of the show. But it does reflect to him, because he does go to work with me. He goes to the job sites with me as a designer as well, and he loves dancing, he loves drawing, he likes to sit with me in my meetings. I'll be sketching something and he'll sketch too. So
how old is he now?
He's 6, and he loves helping me. I took him to a tile store, and he was like running down the aisles, grabbing everything. He made his own vignette. So like, they really do adapt to what you do. So I think it's important for women to not be afraid of that, because I think it makes your kids better, and it makes a better, you know, lasting impression on who they're going to be in their own efforts. Because you can't put your whole self aside to just be a mom. But on the job site, I make the men respect me.
So with your business, now the hurdle of COVID and everything, and now it seems like it's at a good place, your business, right? So, and also knowing that the more growth there is, the different the role.
It's completely changed me.
Yeah. So would you say what is your mindset right now for like where you're at today with your business, and then future, you know, the following years to come? Are you so eager to grow or keep opening up places, or is it more like more calm?
Let me just restructure my business and see where I'm at.
Everything has completely changed, and now I'm focusing more on personal growth and mental health, and rebuilding myself in my own life. And I'm much more cautious with my spending. I was, you know, on this race to open as many studios as I could, and now I'm not.
Because the more studios, the more overhead.
The more overhead, the more investment I have.
The more time you need to put into the business.
And who knows what's going to happen, you know, with the world. It's just so unpredictable. So now I'm trying to make smarter investments and change my investments and focus on growth within. We now have one location here. We had to close our downtown studio. So I'm really, and we've downsized our staff. We went from 14 employees to 3.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm a lot more hands-on involved again on the one studio because you really lose touch when you start to grow. And sometimes you really have to get back to your roots to have a bigger growth.
Yes.
You know?
Right.
So that's really what we're focusing on now, is just making it work.
Yeah.
Keeping our budget, our overhead, our expenses, everything as low as possible.
Right.
And, you know, sometimes it's quality, not quantity.
Yeah, exactly. And it's great to have that end goal, or what we think is the end goal, right, of our companies, but also enjoy the process, right? Like enjoy the whole, every year, every month is a different month in everybody's business. And I think sometimes we are so focused on like the scale and the growth and the dollar being bigger, right? And that sometimes you don't fully see, like, whoa, like I'm a year or 2 years in, but a year ago I wanted to be where I'm at.
And
this
sometimes we forget that.
Yeah.
You know, you have this big vision and you look back and you think, like, 3 years ago I would have given anything to be where I am today.
Yeah. Just to be independent, right? And not have to, I speak for myself, just to be like independent and do what you love to do, or enjoy to do, and it pay everything that you know, your bills and everything. And then yes, like have visions to grow, but maybe not get so consumed in the growth, right?
And you said something earlier, you're like, if I just had another employee, if I just had this. And that was my mindset for so long. I'm like, if I just had this North Naples studio, because everybody was like, I'm not driving downtown. Which not everybody, because we had a very successful downtown studio, but half of the population in this town, because it's like split.
Yeah.
You know, past Pine Ridge Road is another city, past Pine Ridge Road down is downtown, you know. But actually, I think our most successful was downtown, even though it had challenges because it was very seasonal and vacational. So we were seeing people from all over the world. But we had a really hard time keeping a consistent basis. So, and with a gym that needs memberships, you need people that live here. So I thought opening in North Naples would solve all my problems. But it didn't. It created more problems because there's more overhead, more staff, more growth, and more this. And yes, we took in more money, but the expenses got bigger.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then the workload got bigger. So it's really something to think about sometimes, because you think, if I just had enough to do this, if I just had enough to do this. So like the downsize makes you realize that sometimes you are enough.
Exactly. Because because if you're always with that mindset, which is great to want to have more, but sometimes every time you do an accomplishment in your business, small or big, I think that mindset of, okay, now I need that, like that always going mindset doesn't allow you to like,
you always get into conflict every time you want to grow or lead, right? So with that said, I was going to ask you, when you first started your business, how prepared or unprepared do you feel? Because a lot of people don't open businesses because they feel like they have to know everything about the business, and you learn as you go, you know, most of the time.
This is a really great question, and it's something I've actually been talking to my friends about lately, and I've been having a lot of soul searching conversations and growth conversations, and where do we go next, you know? And the one thing I heard once, and I really understand today, and you said knowing, ignorance is bliss when you're starting a business, and that can be interpreted so many ways. But my friend looked at me the other day and she said, yeah, Michelle, but if you knew all of the things that you know today, would you have done what you have done? And she's like, you are successful. Look at the risk you've taken as a woman, as a mother. You've opened all these locations, you've had all these different businesses, you ran 2 and 3 other businesses, an interior design firm, the mermaid parties, all of the other things that I did to fund the growth by myself. I didn't have a big company behind me. I self-funded everything, and I worked triple hours to, you know, pursue that dream. And today I look at it like, God, I spent all this money. Like, I could have this right now, and I could be like not struggling as much. But you know, it's super rewarding. But if I would have known all of those things going into it, I probably wouldn't have done it, because like you said, now I'm tightening my budget.
And you
Right.
have
I'm not-
experience.
Spending. I'm not buying a bunch of retail to sell, even though that helps our income, but it's still money going out to
Right,
every
right.
business costs money. And they say you got to spend money to make money, and it is true. And the more you spend, yes, the more you make, but I don't have that big lump sum to spend anymore
Right.
because I invested it into staying open the last 2 years, you know?
Right.
And when I first opened my business with this ignorance bliss, I look back and thinking, my biggest fear opening was being able to make it throughout the day without having to lay down in an ice pack in pain, because I had hurt my spine before I opened, and I spent a year on the couch in pain. So I actually lost all my physical abilities, which
Wow.
also changed my mindset on life. And I was actually going to open a studio before this happened, and I thought this was something I would never do again. So when I finally had my son, my body changed, and I got the courage. It was all about courage, really.
Yeah.
Being brave enough to just do it. And the leases scared me. The amount of money I had to come up with kind of scared me. But then one day I was like, this is your chance. Just do
Yeah.
it. And my biggest fear was like being able to be there the whole day. But I did.
Right.
And then, you know, people started coming in and asking me all those questions about franchising and growing. And then it fueled this fire. And that's probably why I had a fire inside of me, because I knew what it was like to not have the abilities. And I just wanted to just show that you can.
Yeah.
With all that said, do you think, we've been in business for many years as well, and do you think you have to be a little bit crazy to go into business?
Absolutely. And you know, people, like, there's all different kinds of crazies, which you experience in business. But you just have to have, and
This is very true.
so many people have told me I'm completely crazy. Like, and when I started my plan, everyone said, you're crazy. You can't do that.
Oh yeah.
But
Was
I
that
did it.
was,
makes
now
you wanna
was
do
that
it more.
business owners? Was that business owners or not?
Some business owners.
Some really.
And some not business owners. And there's two completely different mindsets. People that have done it
Yeah.
and that have seen how much work goes into it. Probably, well, let's say 3 different mindsets. People that have done it, that have been super successful, that are like, yeah, do it.
Yeah.
And then people that don't believe in that and that are scared of the money and the effort and the time that goes into it. But honestly, none of that was in my vision. It was just all about fulfilling a dream, pursuing a passion, being something my son could look up to, and just doing what I love, because life is short.
Yeah.
Just do it.
And the 9 to 5 is not secure. Like, I think that it's
We
almost.
talk about that all the time.
Yeah. Now we're not trying to get.
But
no,
this is where the crazy comes in, because then you're up till 4 a.m. working.
Yeah, you're working 24/7.
Up all night, working like 100 plus hours a week. So, and then sometimes I look back and I'm like, why was I scared of that 9 to 5?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Right. No, I say that just because it just isn't. Sometimes it feels like it is, right? The 9 to 5 feels
But that can
like
all
it
change
is.
too. You know, you
Exactly.
can get fired, the company can close,
Exactly.
you know.
Exactly.
And they say you can create your own destiny with your own company, and you know, you just have to be adaptable.
It's almost just as crazy. The 9 to 5, right?
I
It almost
mean,
is.
everything's
I'm not
crazy,
trying. Yeah, I'm
no
not trying
matter
to
how you look
knock.
at it.
Yeah, because like you mentioned, one day you can be in your company, and then it switches owners, and everybody's out.
And I've seen that happen.
I know. Yeah, here like a club that did that, a country club. So, and people were with them for years, like 10 years, and switches owners, and then the whole staff gets replaced. But I mean,
nothing is
nothing's
forever, right?
yeah.
So you might
That's
as
why
well just
I
shoot
guess
for
my
whatever
point of
you
that
want.
is like
Do it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It just feels like
And I already felt that because of like losing my physical abilities. But then after the pandemic, it's like, but then it kind of shifts my mindset. Should I do it? Should I not do it? So I need to get back into the fearless mindset.
Have you ever gotten that question from maybe your friends or another business owner that says, hey, I want to be a business owner because I want to work less? We used to get it all the time, but I
Well, I'm glad we all had a good laugh.
yeah, that
More flexible hours, maybe, but definitely not less. And, you know, it took a lot for me to step back from the studios But I still wasn't working less.
Because I think it's underrated.
I'm starting other businesses,
Yeah,
you know, and still funding growth. And I feel like the more I step away, the less my company performs. So,
right.
Okay. Do you think it's important to be able to step away and have created a system where your company performs better?
yes, if you can do that.
Right. So that's where the job is, right? Where the hard work is to create something that makes more money.
That's like the big hurdle to get over. I think,
and that's what everybody wants, and that's what my plan was with the franchise system. But you can create, and I always say I create the blueprint to success as a designer and with the franchise system, and I present people with my toolbox. Mm-hmm. And these are tools that I've learned and developed over my lifetime, and it is up to them though to utilize the tools.
Right.
And you cannot, basically this is a really good concept, is understanding what you cannot control. Right. You can try, you can push, you can teach, you can micromanage, you can empower and motivate through speeches all you want, but you cannot make people do things.
Right.
Yeah. And you cannot make them use those tools. And if they choose not to use the tools, then their success is not going to be what they want it to be or what it could be.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And that's that line right there.
Right. Exactly. Okay, so now to somewhat conclude this interview, what drives you?
A lot of things. Honestly, doing what you love and loving what you do. Mm-hmm. And when I lost my first interior design job in that first housing recession, and I started bartending, I actually never thought I would work in a restaurant. And even today, if you would have said I would do fitness, I would say no way, because I was a cheerleader. I didn't like work out, but my workout was doing that. But I remember being at a party and looking up and seeing the sign, and it said, do what you love and love what you do. And there was another one that was like, work like you don't need the money, dance like nobody's watching, and love like you've never been hurt. So in that moment, it was like New Year's Eve, and I was in a really like, what am I doing with my life? Because I'm not doing what I did in college. I'm bartending, which was so fun and made lots of money. I wouldn't change that experience for the world. It just like, I was like, that's right. Life is short. Like, why would I spend 9 to 5? And every time I had a 9 to 5, I would be sitting there thinking like all these things I could be doing right now if I wasn't stuck here. Mm-hmm. And if you don't like your job, then change it. If you don't like your life, change it. If you don't like how things are going, change it. And if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Right.
It's true.
Okay. And people say that, but I really truly believe it's true.
Right.
Yeah, 100%.
Wow.
100%.
And if you love your business, people are going to love it too.
Yes.
You can't sell something that you don't love.
Exactly. Okay. Perfect. Well, thank you, Michelle, for joining us.
Thank you for chatting with me.